Alrighty, y'all. Good. How you going? We're going back to the past. I haven't done this in a while. We're going retro right now. Okay, a little bit of nostalgia. Going old school down under in Australia. Let's have some fun. Going back to the 40s for this one. This was a speed weave hemming device from a time when you fixed it yourself. Isn't that the truth, man? This is what I admire about older generations and just older time periods. Now, of course, people still do try and fix things themselves, but it seems like it's quite more on the rare side these days, right? A lot of people, it seems like we live in an age of buy and throw out, very disposable age. So this is a gadget that would help you kind of fix it yourself. From what I understand, right, it says hemming device. So let me see, this would be to patch up clothing or something, I imagine. If you look, shows even the Australia, New Zealand number. It also shows US, South Africa, and Canada. This is from HS Talk, and it's pretty cool to get a look at this thing. I'll actually give you this view, so you get the whole image there. Yeah, speed weave. Darner Model 1 for nylon, wool, or linen. Directions for use, and then you have pretty detailed directions. Now, of course, I will happily, admit that I wouldn't have a clue how to operate this thing. Clearly meant for a different time, but I think it's really, really cool nonetheless. Of course, this video is great for comments. You'll have to let me know if you recognize some of these pictures, some of these things we're going to take a look at, and maybe you might even have one of these lying around. If you do, that'd be awesome. Now, this next one is pretty eye-opening. For a different reason. We're not going back to the 40s. We're going back to 2003, which is still old school at this point. That sounds weird to say because this one hits me hard because 2003 somehow is actually pretty long ago. I can't believe it. But yeah, time capsule, right? This is someone's desk at work in an office, a real estate office in South Yarra. Okay. And I believe this is from this thing here, maybe the Melbourne area. You'll have to let me know. But they point out, right? They have the little Nokia phone, the Filofax diary, a calculator right here. I can spot that. Don't see a lot of these things as often. And this is just in 2003. This is not like this was 50 years ago. But even a lot of tech in this picture is outdated now. And that's pretty crazy to think about. Look at the computer, right? Completely outdated. The telephone, so much was done on hard copy paper, right? I mean, just so many cues in this picture that are really telling of the era and a reminder that we're not in this era at all anymore. It's pretty crazy, at least for me, who I still, like anyone, would like to think am young. But meanwhile, this was so long ago that almost everything in this picture is irrelevant. So yeah, kind of hard to feel young when you realize that. People also reminisce, looking at rental properties back then, just walking into the REA, giving $50 and getting a bunch of keys for properties to go look at. Sometimes being approved for a property the same day. It does seem like even, at least in like the 90s and early 2000s, I imagine Australia was like this as well, because judging from these comments, like the US, Australia, right, places like this, it was a good time, man. It was very chill. Things were going well. Now, this one, admittedly, I don't remember at all. Obviously, it's not something I would have really had access to, I don't think. This is from 2005, and this looks like it was exclusive to Australia. Does anyone remember BigPond Games? Games for everyone for just $9.95 a month, and shows some pretty good games. Now, 2005 would have been a great year for gaming as a whole. PC, PS2, Nintendo GameCube, whatever, your choice was, there was good stuff going on. As you can see by some of the titles shown here, this almost looks like a precursor to like Netflix, and we've all seen what Netflix has become now. It's a huge conglomerate, right? But I think it might have been around back then or just about to be around. And this looks like something similar, right? You join at gamenow.com.au. You enter a secret code for, like a 14-day trial. You get to browse over a library of 170 PC games, and you can start playing. That's pretty cool, right? I mean, especially for 2005, I think this was really pretty wild, pretty fun for people to experience and probably seemed futuristic at the time. Going to the 70s for this one. This is the Indoro Pili. The Induru Pili shopping town complex. I'm sorry. In the Brisbane suburb of that place. What looks like the 1970s courtesy of the National Archives of Australia. Now, it's just one picture, but I thought I'd throw it in here. Shopping complexes, malls, a lot of memories. Of course, these are, somewhat outdated nowadays, although I feel like they're making a little bit of a comeback. It just depends on where you are, I guess. But lots of memories I have at malls. This looks pretty cool. Interesting that this is from the 70s. I guess you guys had Target back then. I don't even know if the U.S. had Target back then. I thought Target was from like the 80s or 90s, but maybe it's older. So I actually don't know. It could be a different place altogether. I'm not sure. But either way, this is pretty cool. This one is hilarious. They say their grandparents are with some tomato plants that they found circa 1980s Australia. Now, I don't know why, but these photos, it wouldn't have even had to say it. These just look Australian, right? You kind of got like, I don't know if this is a tree stump or a red rock or something, but for some reason it looks Aussie. And the people too, like this guy, he looks like an Aussie. I don't know how to describe it, but you kind of know it when you see it. I think that's so fun. Now, this is pretty cool. Someone's father was on Wheel of Fortune Australia. He was champion 2 days running. That's pretty good, in my opinion. The fact that you can win it all and then win multiple days. This was in 1981. And you can see some screenshots here. Now, I've seen Wheel of Fortune, of course, back in the day. I haven't seen it in years. But I've seen it before at relatives' house growing up and stuff. Obviously, I don't think I saw Wheel of Fortune Australia, but that's cool to know that it was its own show down under as well. And also, it's kind of cool to make that connection when you see, where they show like some of the prizes or whatever, and then you see literally one of them still to this day, because this is right here is a modern picture. That's pretty cool. This is old school cool if I ever saw one. Cinematographer David Egby on the set of Mad Max, of course, in Australia, 1978. Take a look at that photo, man. You got the guy actually, piloting this bike at speed, and he is somehow on the back holding, a pretty big camera. And, camera work is hard, guys, like, especially if you're on a moving vehicle. I can't even imagine doing this. And then, of course, you still have to balance and not fall off. I don't know. This is really, really cool. And I love, the amount of effort and effects that they had to do, especially in the 70s, right? And some of the forward thinking that people really thought of as well. I mean, this is dedication to get a shot. This is really, really cool and not easy to do. As people mention here, right? It's just not the same anymore. The actual stunts and planning and strategy they had to do for every scene in these old movies is incredible. I mean, some of the best movies you can watch are from the 70s and 80s and 90s, and it was a whole different ballgame, right? They had so much work to do with these movies back then. Obligatory early 1900s picture from Sydney, Australia. Looks spectacular. As always, these old buildings just blow my mind. And I'll never understand how we built stuff like this so long ago. But there it is, right? It almost looks like snow on the ground, but I don't think it is. I think it's like a sunny day, and these are shadows, perhaps, or something's leaking oil. Here we have someone's dad in 1973, Toronto. Now, here's the thing. He was from Australia. So this is an Aussie, newly immigrated to Toronto in 1973. Not Woody Harrelson. But I can see that. There is a little bit of a resemblance there. And it's still 70s, right? He's got the pipe. He's chilling, laid back. He's got like a Hugh Hefner robe. Yeah, it's a vibe for sure. And not a look you'd see nowadays. Now, I've done episodes of this a long time ago, and I know a lot of people watching this might not have seen those. So I'm showing this again. If you have a keen eye, you might recognize I did show this last time. But we're talking like a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. I don't remember the last time I did one of these. But I thought I'd show this again. This is an acrobat family from Australia, September of 1969. And it's just a cool picture. It's old school. And at the same time, it's just one of those where it's like, Whoa. These people, you know, this guy's got some cool parents. Like, these people are freaking ripped, man. They're ripped. Look at her, right? Look at the abs. Look at this guy, right? Look at, holy smokes. They are fit. Like the definition of fit. This is in 1969. So cool to see. Now, this is pretty interesting. We have Nicole Kidman posing for Vogue Australia, 1994. So I was just a little tyke at this point. And wow. Very, very cool. She looks pretty fierce in some of those pictures, right? Wow. I always like black and white photo shoots too. I think they're really fun. This is old school. 1956. Can you believe that? Runner Gunnold Larkin. I probably said that wrong. I apologize. Relaxing at the 1956 Summer Olympics in Melbourne, Australia. So I didn't know that the 56 Olympics were in Melbourne. That's a very, very cool. The only Olympics I always hear about is like the 2000 Olympics were in Sydney, right? But this is going way back in Melbourne. And there you go, right? I don't know if this is before a run or after, but she's chilling, right? Probably got to rest up before the next run. And I wonder what it would be like being an Olympic athlete back then, right? I think it's so interesting. But yeah, this is a cool picture. I'll be honest, if I'd have seen it with no context, I would have thought it was old, sure. I wouldn't have guessed 56. I would have guessed it was slightly newer than that. Sometimes you can't tell, and I think that's equally interesting. Going way back for this, another cool picture, a rider posing with an aerial motorcycle in Sydney, Australia, circa 1930. Look at that. Just, wow. That is actually a really cool bike. I know nothing about it. I'm not going to act like I do. I've never even heard of aerial, honestly. Shame on me, but this is really, really cool. And this guy, he looks like he's ready. He looks like he knows how to ride that thing. Now, this is cool. This is a picture from 1968. There's no more context. It's just someone's dad. I would love to know. This is going to be tough, but if anyone knows, what car we're dealing with here, that's as close as I can get. I would be thoroughly impressed. I'm assuming, hoping almost it's an Australian car. I don't know if it's like an old Holden or something or what, but it's like an old race car or derby car. I think that's so cool. And wouldn't you know it, this is so cool. Another one, if you know the car, go ahead and tell us. Kind of interesting there. Super old picture. You could tell by the way it looks. I love it. This is the 70s, somewhere in Australia. And I know it because even the trucks back then, or I should say the utes, look Australian. They look different than trucks do here. The utes in Australia, right? I love it with the flatbed, the tray. It's just so cool. I literally prefer this style. And for some reason, this style of what we would call trucks here is just super rare, right? But I think it's so much more practical. But those are everywhere in Australia, even modern day. And apparently back then. And we're going to rapid fire some old cars real quick while we're on the subject. Here's a 1972 Holden HQ. Looks awesome. This is just like some retro posts, right, about cars specifically. Love this. Looks awesome. It looks like it's, probably intended for a little bit of drag racing, I reckon. Of course, we are going way back here. We have a Holden FB. Love it. A Holden HG. Is that how y'all say it? See? I can get there. I can get there sometimes. HG. This is awesome as well. Blowy. You know what? You guys always come up with the best plates. You know what's also mind-blowing to me, though, as an American, is seeing this. That's cool, right? Not something I would ever see here. But also seeing a GMT 400 generation, in this case, a GMC Sierra, 90s GM truck right here. Now, that's something I did not expect to see. That's very cool. I wonder if someone imported that. Or what? Or maybe they sold those down under. I'm not really sure. But I have one of these, a 95, but it's a Chevy, K1500. Love these trucks. Some of the best ones I ever made. And they're correct here. A 61 Holden EK Ute, but you've never seen one of these before. How'd you know? I have not, unless you're Australian. Now, I have to admit, we have a Oldsmobile Cutlass or something. I don't know. Like lifted on monster truck tires. Very odd. Something I would expect to see way out in the country in the U.S. pretty cool to see this in Australia, at least I think. Unless this is in the US and someone somehow has this in America, which I would be shocked. And of course, you can't forget about the Commodores. Here's an 80 Holden VC Commodore. Again, these Aussie builds are just so freaking badass, man. I love it. And you can't forget about these, which I'm a weirdo. I like different cars, you could say. Literally, I am not kidding when I say that this is one of the coolest vehicles I've ever seen. I absolutely love these. This is a Holden HT Belmont panel van from 1970. These are just oozing cool factor. I love this. This is literally freaking awesome. So awesome. And to end it, we'll do something pretty awesome, right? I think universally most would agree. Son of the famous Steve Irwin, of course. Robert Irwin, recently recreated. Now, this is not recently anymore, but it's still, old school, cool. Recreated a famous shot of his father at the Australia Zoo. Of course, you can see the OG shot and the recreation. Really, really cool. I love to see that, something like that, right? Something as important, as incredible of a legacy Steve Irwin had, to see that it actually can be, carried on with the family is just so kind of relieving in a sense, but of course it's a thrilling that can actually happen. I think that's just so cool. And there is probably so much more I could look at. Oh my God, these are fun. These are fun. I'm going to cut it there. I hope you enjoyed this, going down memory lane and some old school Australia. I thoroughly enjoy these. I don't know why it's so long in between episodes, so that's on me. I think this was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed it as well. I appreciate you watching. That's it. My name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker. Until next time, y'all. Catch you later.